Hi, my name is Sylvie. I am a certified health coach and fitness trainer. In today's video, I am going to show you how to do the king pigeon pose. As I've been working on my back flexibility, I've been really enjoying how energetic these poses are, and the king pigeon is very beneficial in many ways. It'll help you increase your back flexibility, your psoas flexibility, your inner thigh flexibility. It'll help you improve your posture, and it is incredibly energizing. So today I'm gonna take you a routine that will stretch you, open your body, get you ready to get into the king pigeon pose. And I'm also going to show you some variations if you're not quite flexible enough to make it there yet. What you'll need for this session is 2 yoga blocks and a yoga strap. If you do not have these props, it's okay, you can manage. You can use a towel instead of a yoga strap. You can use books instead of yoga blocks. So just use whatever you have available to you. We'll get started by stretching your shoulders and your chest. And that's where you'll need the yoga blocks. Set the yoga blocks in front of you. Come on all four. And bring your elbows on your yoga blocks. As you work into this stretch, you can really focus on bringing your chest down closer to the mat. Breathe into your stretch. And also, you will feel the stretch more as you relax your arms and your chest. Oftentimes, when you start working on your flexibility, you will notice that your body tends to tense up. Maybe you're not used to it and it's uncomfortable and your body wants to tense up. So you have to make a conscious effort to really relax into the stretch. Okay, so now we're gonna start working on your back flexibility. And to do so, we're gonna do the upward facing dog. But before we actually get into the upward facing dog, we're gonna work in a more active way. So you're going to kind of bring your body down close to a downward facing dog, but with your knees folded. And then you're gonna bring yourself forward into the upward facing dog and then back. And we're gonna do that a few times, maybe 5 times. This is our 5th time. So we're going to stay here and stretch here for a little bit. If you're anything like me, you will notice that this stretch is, you can feel it in your lower back very, very much. So I know when I got started, it was so uncomfortable in my lower back, but keep doing it. And if it's too uncomfortable, you can always give it another shot like that for a little break. But otherwise, just stay here and lift up your chest, bring your shoulders down, tilt your head back slightly, and you really will start feeling a stretch in your front body as your lower back gets more flexible and it doesn't bother you there as much. So it feels really good in the front body. And let it stretch. Keep your elbows in. One more breath. Okay. Now we're going to work your camel pose. To do so, you're going to sit on your heels, or depending on your flexibility, you could possibly just bring your feet down like that. And you're going to lift your body up. That's another great stretch for your back, your front body. And if it's too difficult, as I mentioned, do it with your feet up like that. Or another option is to do one hand at a time. So you can switch side and just do one hand at a time. That helps if you're struggling with doing both hands. And another thing you can do is bring your head down. Lift up your head slowly and sit back down. We're going to work on your Cobra. And then if you're flexible enough, you can raise your elbows and you could even go onto your fingers for more height, if you can do that. We're gonna stay here for a few breaths. Now you can come back on your elbows. I find these back bending exercises so energizing. If you have an afternoon slump, they're great. They're great anytime. Now you're gonna keep your left elbow on the ground, take your right leg up and bring your right hand on your foot so that you can fold your leg. And again, keep your chest proud as you're stretching. We're gonna stay here for another 30 seconds or so. Okay, switch side. I usually listen to music when I stretch, and once you know the routine, I recommend you do that as well. So now we're gonna start working on your inner hips. To get in your hips, we're gonna start with a lunge. Bring your right foot forward and then keep your back leg straight. Move into that for a little bit, a few seconds. And then you can take your knee down. You can lower on your elbows. And if you need a yoga block, you can use a yoga block in front of you. It's also helpful to start with a yoga block sometimes, and then as your body opens up, you can just put it aside. We're going to stay here for a few breaths. Switch side. Move into your lunge as you feel your stretch. And then lower your elbows down as well as your knee. As you work into this stretch, you'll find that if you focus on taking your knee closer to your body, it intensifies the stretch. So you can play around with that as well. Try to pull your knee towards you. Time to get into pigeon. First step to king pigeon. So take your right leg in front of you, and if you bring your foot closer to your body, you'll feel it's easier. The stretch is easier. And if you pull your foot further from your body and make your shin more parallel to the mat, then it intensifies the stretch a little bit. So you can play around with that, see what works best for you. And we're going to stay here for just a few breaths. Again, lift your chest high. Keep your hips facing forward. Relax your shoulders. Next, you can lower yourself on your elbows to stretch here a little bit longer. Keep your stretch active in your inner thighs and pull your right inner thigh towards the mat. Next, lift yourself back up and see if you can lift your left foot up. Just like that. And then use your left hand to grab it. You may have to bring your right foot in closer to you at this stage. And then, if you want to take this even further, take your foot inside your elbow joint. Just like that. Stay here to feel the stretch for a little bit. And then you could even take your hands in prayer, like that, or sometimes people even have clasped their hands like that in the back. Now I'm going to switch side before we do the king pigeon. I'll use the strap for the king pigeon. But right now we'll just go through the same sequence on the left. So take your left leg in front of you and stretch your left inner thigh. I'm going to bring my foot forward a little bit. Lower yourself down on your elbows. The same thing applies as far as keeping the stretch active, making sure your hips are facing forward and that your left inner thigh you are actively bringing it closer to the ground. You can bring yourself back up. And again, you'll be lifting up your right foot, using your right hand, and taking your right foot towards you. And then if you can, bring your foot inside your elbow joint. I'm gonna bring my left foot closer to my body and here. Trying to focus so that I keep my hips facing forward. As I showed you on the other side, you can bring your hands together like this, but I tend to open up my hips quite a lot when I do that. So I'm going to stay here. Now let's get into our king pigeon. You're going to need I'm using a yoga strap, and I'm going to start with my left leg forward. So I'm going to get back here. Now wrap your strap around your foot and grab your strap with your hands and get as far as you can. And eventually the goal would be to grab your foot, right? To be flexible enough in the back, the psoas, and the shoulders to grab your foot. But here I'm just gonna stretch for a few more breaths. Now we're going to repeat the same thing on our left side. Bring your right leg forward. So you did it. You learned how to do the king pigeon. If you do this routine 2 or 3 times a week, you'll notice a huge improvement in your flexibility. You'll notice that you have more energy, and just stay consistent with it. It's totally worth it. There are so many benefits.